Hello, Jeffrey. This is the first episode of my podcast, which I will be discussing media, whether that be books, games, comics, or in this case, TV shows that either are too long to just do a review on, or for some other reason I'll come up with in the future. This is completely unscripted. I am literally sitting at my desk in my pajamas right now, looking at the show we're doing, which is, of course, as you've probably read the title, Supernatural. I'm not doing more than the first 5 seasons, because for a bunch of reasons. Going past the first 5 seasons of Supernatural is an insane task. I mean, it's not hard TV to watch, but like, if you were a fan of the first 5 seasons for any other reason than the characters, which the characters are great, we'll get into that later, you're in for a treat. Season 1 through 5 has the main characters, Sam and Dean, hunting like demons and stuff. And then we got hard cut to season 13, where they get transported into an episode of Scooby-Doo and have to solve a mystery and give the mystery game an existential crisis, which then they have to gaslight them into believing that the supernatural is not real, despite the name of the show. So, I think going to the later seasons of Supernatural would be fun at a later date, because it is broken up into, like, pretty well for, like, having endpoints for the 5 seasons, because each season has a distinct arc. But, one, I don't want to do that right now. I will go insane. And 2, I think the first 5 seasons are the best, and I just want an excuse to gush. Now, that's still to say that there's a lot of content I had to get through. The first 5 seasons of Supernatural, each episode's 40 minutes long, and almost all the seasons except for season 3 are 22 episodes long, each episode 40 minutes, going to a grand total of 69 hours of content to get through. And that's not including the anime that came out. But, yeah, so let's start off with just giving a bare bones plot summary. 2 brothers, Sam and Dean Winchester, hunt demons and monsters and ghosts, and in a few episodes, rednecks. So that's your standard evil list. I've seen True Detective season 1. I know how dangerous rednecks could be. So I'm glad we got these 2 fine boys here to protect us. Now I'm looking at... I have my screen up. I have TV tropes popped up for me to give any quick reference stuff. I use TV tropes probably too much. I know it's not the greatest reference thing, but... oh my god, there's so many characters in this show. But yeah, so... I wanted to talk about this because there's one thing that season 1 does really well, because Supernatural was made by Eric Kripke. He's the showrunner, and you might recognize that name because Eric Kripke is currently showrunning The Boys, another really good show coming on right now. We all love The Boys, or not, after season 4, which I'll get into that later. But The Boys is just feels like Supernatural at points, more realized and complete, even though they're two completely different genres. The Boys is a clear deconstruction of superheroes and a satire of politics, and Supernatural is an urban fantasy taking on like biblical tones at the end. Well, not at the end. It's been around since the beginning. But what I think Kripke did very well, which he had help, I think he had an X-Files showrunner working with him, which explains why the first season's probably as good as it is. And let me just grab a drink real quick. I do have some problems with season 5. I can't, in consciousness, call this like a perfect. I mean, the first 5 seasons of TV, season 1 in particular drags for a long bit, and if it's not your first time watching it, the family drama on repeat watches can get a little repetitive. But somehow, in the later seasons, the family drama gets worse. But I gotta stop talking about the later seasons. That will be a fun rabbit hole for us to go down. But yeah, Supernatural is good. The first 5 seasons, great. The other seasons, okay. But let's go to season 1. Season 1, opening episode titled, you guessed it, Pilot, starts with our boy Sam Winchester in college, and his brother Dean Winchester comes and says essentially, hey, Dad's gone on a hunt and he hasn't been home in a while, which basically means like stuff's going down, bro. And Dean, we learn all we need to know about Dean in like the first 2 minutes of knowing him, because he immediately hits on his brother's girlfriend. He like 5 seconds into meeting her, which this show got its start. I mean, I got its start in 2005. I was 6 at the time. I should not have been watching this. And in the first episode, that's basically the main point of the first episode. After that is a pretty traditional ghost hunting story, which I actually like, because a lot of shows nowadays feel like they don't trust their audience to get invested without like a long exposition and be like, hey, this is what the show is really about. Supernatural, in the first, that it takes the first entire season is literally just being like, oh, there's not a lot of world building, there's some, but the first entire season is basically just building up these two characters, getting their relationships, getting the audience invested in Sam and Dean and their search for dear old Pa, played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan in his second most infamous role. Well, maybe his third most infamous role now, because I guess he's in The Boys season 4. But yeah, so there's not a lot to say on the first season. I really struggle to come up with more to say. I think Yellow Eyes is a good villain. However, I think in the first season he has like 10 minutes of total screen time. Like, maybe even less. It's mostly just Meg and Meg's brother, who never gets mentioned again after Dean shoots him in the face, which is cool. But what I really want to get into is the second, third, and the Big Daddies 4 and 5. I think the second season is just everything about the first season is just way better. It's got much better world building. The brothers are going through a personal tragedy. By the way, I will be spoiling a good chunk of this show, so if you don't like that, I apologize. But this is what I won't spoil any of what happens in the later seasons other than the Scooby-Doo thing, but like I don't think the Scooby-Doo thing has much weight on the grand total plot. But season 2 has a lot better world building. We get to learn more monsters. Like I think we get the Trickster shows up in the season for the first time in Telltales. I think that's episode 13 and 14. I don't have that offhand. And we also get to see the first time we have like a moral dilemma where we learn that not all the monsters are bad. I mean, not all ghosts were bad, I think, in the first season. I could be wrong. But no, they weren't all bad in the first season because ghosts are just people. But we get to see, like, vampires being like, hey, I just drink blood at the blood bank and drink cows. I don't go kill people. I just want to live my life. And this guy named Gordon's like, I'm going to cut off her head. And Sam's like, nah. That's very... I'm not giving good summaries. I'm trying to summarize the first 5 seasons right now before I go into the main reasons why I'm liking it. And oh my god, I'm already at 11 minutes. Okay, we gotta wrap this up. The second season ends with... It introduces Bobby, makes Bobby a more prevalent character. I believe Bobby does show up in season 1, but season 2 is where he really starts to shine and starts to become a mainstay for the boys. But season 2's ending, I think, other than what's coming up, might be one of my favorite finales in TV ever. Just All Hell Breaks Loose, parts 1 and 2 are some of the best pieces of television I've ever seen. The mystery of the ghost town, Yellow Eyes finally revealing his plan, the slow build up to the apocalypse. This is, I think, where the apocalypse like really starts getting built up because spoilers for All Hell Breaks Loose. It ends with the main... I don't even remember his name. I think it was Jake. It might have been Jake, but one of the other psychics comes and I didn't mention Sam being a psychic. Sam's being a psychic. This is where we find out he has demon blood in him that gives him like psychic powers. Basically, for the first 2 seasons, he like has nightmares where he can see like people dying. That's more of a small point than I'd like to mention, but I don't know. It doesn't come up much because something else comes up that Sam can do comes up later, but we'll get onto that in a second. But basically, he has like this free-for-all for the psychics. Sam dies for the first time. Notice that I said first, we'll get into that also too later. Dean makes a deal with the Crossroads demon to bring back Sam, but he only has a year left to live. Sam and Dean kills Yellow Eyes with the help of Sam and dear old dad literally crawling out of his way out of hell, which is just... that's dedication, man. You hate someone so much that you come from the afterlife just to fuck with them. Okay, season 3 is all about Dean's demon deal and them trying to break it. And what we learn is we got the first... I think it's the first... Yes, I believe Lilith is the first demon in the lore. There might be... Yes, she's the first demon. She is the first demon. She's the first one Lucifer turned. She's his most loyal lieutenant. And she... But even in this season, I think she shows up for... Yeah, she shows up for 2 episodes. She shows up in Justin Bellows, the mid-season finale at the very end. And then in the finale. Her name gets thrown around a lot, but the main villain of this season is time, kinda, because both meta in the show and in real life, because this season was supposed to be much longer. I think it was supposed to be 22 episodes like all the other seasons. However, it got cut to be 16 episodes due to a writer's strike, and a bunch of plot points just got cut out. That's why Bella just her character goes, she's cool for 2 episodes, and then she vanishes, and then she dies. Oops. This is also the first season I think we get introduced to Rufus, which is just Bobby's, I don't know if I want to say friend, Bobby's acquaintance at this point, because of something that happened in, I don't remember what state it was. Something happened, and it was Bobby's fault. And this is also where Bobby's like showing up in a majority of the episodes. In fact, Bobby gets his own dedicated episode for the first time in this one, where Sam and Dean hunt a medical student who has the power to hop into people's dreams and kill them with baseball bats. That's the thing that happens. Okay, and season 3 ends with Dean dying this time. Dean dies a lot in this season due to one episode called Mystery Spot, where we get, I think, no, he's not our first like reoccurring villain. I think Gordon is the first. No, it's Yellow Eyes is the first reoccurring villain. But well, the first reoccurring, not main villain is Gordon. I think because he shows up twice in season 2. Because for whatever reason, Dean didn't just put a bullet in his brain after he kidnaps and nearly kills Sam, which Dean's clearly not had any problems killing people before. I don't know why he just didn't shoot him. Or Sam, I kind of get it. Sam wouldn't do that. He'd be like, but we can't be like the monsters. But Dean would just... Dean should have shot Gordon. Let's put that on a shirt. Granted, Gordon doesn't do anything, really. I think Gordon has... I'll get to that later. Season 4, the Trials arc, and the introduction to fan favorite, the third boy, the side character to end all side characters, the side character that broke Tumblr for a week, Castiel, the angel. This is the first season where we get like angels and demons. This is the first season that like actually feels grand. Like a grand, like stakes. Like this is the first time when the apocalypse feels like a tangible threat. We learn that the first seal was Dean torturing someone in hell, which is cool. And we also learn that the last seal is killing Lilith, which is also cool, because the whole time Sam has been like hopped up on demon blood, giving him like powers to just kill demons and exorcise them at like a thought. I mean, I literally think I don't know if we see this in season 4 or if spoilers for season 5. There's one episode where Sam gets his demon powers back in season 5, where he can just like literally shut his eyes and think, and all the demons just die. But yeah, this season with the Trials is a cool arc. The angels are very interesting to watch, especially Castiel and Zachariah. I was going to say Uriel, but then I remembered that Uriel, I think, has one cool scene in the entire show, and then he literally just dies. That's a theme in the show, is just dies. This is also the season we get introduced to Anna, and I forgot to mention her last time, but this is where Ruby really gets to her shine. She was in season 3, a friendly demon, quote unquote, but I don't remember her doing much in season 3. I think she literally just was like, hey, I got this knife that can kill demons, and hey, here's a recipe to make bullets for the cult. And that's about it. I'm dragging on. Oh my god. Season 4 has the Trials. Ruby's much more interesting in this season, especially. I don't know if I like her at the end though, where her heel face turn, where she she basically gaslight. And without that, the plan, it still felt like that Kripke had a plan. Like there's like characters will be mentioned in one season and then they won't show up till like 2 more seasons. And there'll also be like every single time John is the Winchester's father. I think he has 4 episodes where he's in it, but it's heavily implied. I don't want to say it's confirmed, but it's heavily implied that he figured out like the angels and demons plans all the way back before season 1 even started with the apocalypse. And I think he just had faith that Sam and Dean would use their family bonds and defeat fate. Not defeat Fate the person. Fate the person shows up in season 6 after an angel saved the Titanic because he didn't like Celine Dion very much. But yeah, I don't know if I wanted to. I don't know if I wanted to bring up one part of this season that I really don't like, because she doesn't really become unlikable until like season 7, which is Becky, which is like almost a malicious feeling standout for like fangirl characters, well, real life fangirls, like way too over exaggerated. I think she's like the only part of season 5 I actively hate, because and she's what ruins the episode, the real Ghostbusters, where Sam and Dean go to Supernatural Con. But, and, oh my god, this show is psychotic. What's another part I wanted to bring up about this having a plan? Another example. The Trickster. I've been bringing him out. Gabriel the Archangel. Spoilers. We see he's the first angel we've seen, which I don't know if it was planned that he was going to be an angel since the beginning. I don't know if I want to give that to the writers, because he was shown weird powers that angels don't really have, and we don't really see them do ever again, which is reality warping on like a major... No, Zechariah does that. Zechariah like gaslights Dean into thinking that he's like a Patrick Bateman American Psycho executive, and that Sam's like an IT worker. But like, he doesn't create... Oh, I guess he does. He creates the like little piece of heaven that has burgers and beer. So I guess that fits, but like Gabriel being an angel, I don't think was really hinted at well since seasons 2 and 3, and then in 5 him becoming him being an angel. I don't know if that twist is as good as people make it out to be, because it's kind of really hard to figure out unless you're paying attention to like very specific things Castiel's saying in the episode. The twist comes out after 2 episodes of Sam and Dean being like, it's the Trickster. But like, still, he's a cool character. He shows up in one of the best episodes in the season. Probably my favorite episode other than Swan Song, the final episode of season 5, which... I don't want to say anything about that. If you haven't seen Supernatural, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast, unless you're scared of the Tumblr people and want to know why they're obsessed with it. Sorry, Buccarino. That doesn't come till season 6 through 15. Yes, this show ran for... How many episodes did this show run? I think it's 326. I could be wrong. Plus has a novel series, which are loosely canon. I think there's 14 novels. I've only read 2 of them. They were okay. That's not true. The one that took place in South Dakota was really cool. I had a giant spider drink a guy, and I was like, oh! But this is a cool show. I'm talking in circles. I have to get better at articulating, so this is good practice. I haven't really talked much about the boys, haven't I? I don't think there's much to say. They're kind of tropey for the first 2 seasons. Like, Sam is obviously Sam's obviously the little brother character. He has to be protected by Dean, and then at the end he is going to grow up into his own. And Dean's the cool, strong, stoic older brother who likes to flirt with bar women and makes pop culture reference all the time. I think another thing you'll notice in the show, which I don't know if it's definitely not intentional, but it makes a cool. I think it's like a cool detail. I don't think it was intentional. I think the actor for Dean, Jensen Ackles, just whenever he has to cry on scene, he does the exact same thing, which is he makes like a blank expression, and just a single tear rolls down his eye. I'm trying to remember if he actually cries like a human being in any of the other at all in these 5 seasons or any of the seasons. I don't think so. Meanwhile, Sam over here, whenever he cries, his face soaks up like you throw a sponge into a running shower. And which I think, I don't believe it was intentional, but I guess you can view that as Dean's just so good at bottling up his emotions that all that can come out at that point is just one single tear. And Sam managed to pull away from the hunting monsters lifestyle for such a long time that now whenever he's not as emotionally repressed as Dean, so he's not afraid to let it out. But that's another thing that this show does really well, which is just showing how growing up and hunting monsters for your entire life will just ruin you as a person completely, especially with Dean. I think in season 5 we get to see one of the best spiral declines of a character. Like, a lot of people, we talk about character development in like good ways. This is like character development in a bad way. This is where, not like written bad, but like bad for the person's psychological being. This is the first time we see a character, he starts drinking more, he starts acting more impulsively, eventually building up to the point where he's about to say yes to Michael, which is essentially suicide. Because we learned that once an archangel takes a vessel, the vessel is just ruined forever when the archangel leaves. And it's a good scene. It also gives us Castiel's probably best scene, which I would argue maybe even in the series, which is him just screaming at Dean for being such a... I think he yells out, "I rebelled for..." Oh, it's such a good scene. And then he just beats the snot out of Dean after which it's completely justified because Castiel basically broke the golden rule of all the angels solely for Dean, and now Dean's being like, maybe the angels were right. I'd be mad too. I don't know if I'd nearly kill the man, but Castiel can heal him. Another good part of season... Let's talk more about season 3. Because I think out of this package, season 3 is probably the weakest. which is not really their fault. They probably had plenty of plot points that want to go, but with the writer's strike, they had to cut down the episode, but the season count by, I think, 8 episodes? No, 6 episodes. 6 or 8. They had to cut it on a good chunk of stuff for character development, especially for Bella. Poor British girl got screwed. But I feel like the reason why this first season's work so well is the characters. I feel like this is like Sam and Dean's arc in season 5 is probably the best these characters have ever had, and it really had plenty of plot points that want to go, but with the writer's strike, they had to cut down the episode, but the season count by, I think, 8 episodes? No, 6 episodes. 6 or 8. They had to cut it on a good chunk of stuff for character development, especially for Bella. Poor British girl got screwed. But I feel like the reason why this first season's work so well is the characters. I feel like this is like Sam and Dean's arc in season 5 is probably the best these characters have ever had, and it really should. This is something I say that a lot of people don't like. I do believe that Supernatural should have probably ended at the end of season 5. Season 5 had probably the best, just perfect end. It's bittersweet, just like the entire show. The supernatural threat, main MacGuffin, is shoved in a box in hell. Dean finally gets to retire. Sam gets to finally redeem himself for being evil, and even though I don't know if being gaslit by 2 demons can be counted as evil, but still, the narrative, it fits. But then the CW network was like, no. But Kripke left to work on something else. I don't know what his other project is, but I believe the one who took over was Sarah Gamble. Don't quote me on that one. I don't know if it was Sarah Gamble afterwards. And then we got seasons 6 through 7 to season 15, which, even the style for the show in the first 5 seasons, it blows my mind how well this show looks even now. Look up, screen caps for the first 5 seasons of Supernatural, and then look up, a screen cap from, season 13, and you'll just be like, am I watching a different show? Am I watching a sitcom now? It feels scary. That's the one good plus, A plus I'll give on season. This is getting long. I'm gonna end this soon. On season 1 is season 1's the only one that's actually scary. So yeah, this has been me rambling about Supernatural seasons 1 through 5 for how long has this been going on for? 43 minutes. Wow. This was supposed to be 25 to 30 minutes. Okay. Season 5, 1 through 5, great pieces of TV. Give it a watch if you have 69 hours to blow. I recommend, this is one of the shows that I do recommend that you binge, because you'll notice little plot details that show up later in later seasons, and the development of the characters really work well. When I say binge, I don't mean sit down and watch 5 seasons of TV over the span of 2 days. I mean just watch this and don't like take it and be like, okay, I watched season 1 of Supernatural, now I'm gonna go watch 12 seasons of American. No, just pickers. No, just watch this if you find it time to. It's really hard to recommend 5 seasons of TV. It's a great series, great show, very popular online for other reasons that would come later from the later seasons. I don't know if I'm going to get into the later seasons one day. That'll probably be far off thing to do. But yeah, this has been the first episode of my podcast. I think the next episode will either be out tomorrow or the day after, and it will be much easier for me to get my thoughts out because I won't have as much to work with because it's just like one season of a show and a movie. Yeah. I hope you liked it. Sorry that I'm still not great at articulating myself as well. Goodbye, Thomas.